Shrub is making the bed. Oh, it's a cat. Yes. Good.
Shrub has a cat. I have a dog in my lap right now.
Now it's a good podcast because there's a cat. Look at that! Look at that! Who is the cat? Who is the cat?
Ready?
Who is this? Who is this? Who is this stretchy baby?
This is Bugs. This is my little baby bean Bugs.
Bugs.
She's so cute. She's just a little guy.
Bugs, we love you.
I'm missing out on the cat. It's not showing it.
Oh, what? Damn. Yeah, no, she's a little sweet little guy.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to find out how the two of you have collaborated on a blaster without Heath ever seeing your cat.
Hello. We have seen each other in person once. We have talked in real time, like with our faces, one time.
Now sort of twice. No face,
sort of twice.
But sort of twice. Hello, and welcome to episode 57 of the Foam News Collective podcast. I'm KT. I'm here with the whole crew. I'm here with Vile. I'm here with Grimz. Hello. Yo. How are you two doing?
Tired.
Yeah, Vile is. Hold on, we've already talked to you, but I'll introduce you in a second. Vile, where have you been?
I traveled the UK. I went to the Netherlands. I went to Germany. Obviously, I've met with a few different people actually in the hobby. It's been fun. I came back with a new friend, the Gator Vile plushie that a friend made for me.
Oh my God! Wait, I haven't seen this yet. This is amazing.
So they made me a gator plushie, and the helmet actually comes off. It's a button.
Is that a button? That's a button. Oh
yeah,
God.
It's a button that just has this little helmet.
That's so cute.
And this was made off of a joke because somebody said, "I think you would be a gator," and then they drew a little character with a
I've seen that.
The gator with the helmet, and then another friend who makes plushies made this, and I met them in the Netherlands, and that was fun.
That's incredible.
I went to. Actually met Klein and went to Blaster Time.
You didn't take any video.
I felt bad, but I also was like, there's a few things I don't want to necessarily video and photograph. I do have one photo that we can get, but
it's okay. You're only kind of fired.
Yeah, just a little bit. But it was really nice. Spent the day. Klein showed me around everywhere. And then I got to sit there and get my hands on some unreleased stuff, which was cool. And we tore apart a blaster, one of the Insanity smoke blaster.
Oh, right.
We tore it apart because we wanted to find out how it actually made the smoke, and it's apparently just piezos. It's just
interesting.
It's just a piezo, like vapor thing that it makes, and I didn't even know you could buy them off of Amazon because we
avoided the Busby smoke juice situation. I guess.
So that was fun. I got to fire the AEB. I'm going to tell you right now, it's freaking awesome.
All right.
I'm going to tell you.
So we've heard.
It's incredible.
One more thing, and I got to introduce our guests because they're just awkwardly sitting on screen here.
And then I got to meet Domochevsky. So
tell me about his floor.
Okay, so obviously Domo operates out of a secret location, this secret lab off in the Baltic Sea. So obviously that explains why there's sand on the floor. That's all you need to know. It is legitimately
so that was
there.
Actually floor sand.
It is actually, because if you can't be at the beach, just bring the beach to you, and that's all you need to know. That's it. But it is legitimately sand on the floor. So I got to see it. I got to see some of the blasters actually in this episode. It's true. No, you walk in and there's like really nice gravel and like tiles and stuff, and then like there's different sections of the floor with different tiles, and then there's one section that's just actual beach sand, and I was like, that's commitment. I like that. And I got to see, like I said, some of the blasters that were in this episode before Domo actually put them up for release. So I got to test fire some of that, and I got to see the AEB Micro 2.0 thing that he built as a test rig, as a proof of concept. He AEB'd a Zuru X-Shot Micro 2.0. Yeah, it works. It's crazy, and it's fun to fire.
And you didn't take any video.
It's on his Instagram. You can,
fair enough.
He does have video of it, so you can see it now. But yeah, I got to try it out. It was fun.
We are very excited to be hanging out with our special guests this week. Mighty Shrub, member of competitive player, member of Team Fox Ups, modder designer, and co-creator of the Smiley, along with MrHeathPants, a longtime Blaster modder designer, well-known name in the hobby. There's the Smiley for those watching on YouTube. There's another one.
Gotta flex
the
bolties now.
One of these days, we'll get to talk about that a bunch. MrHeathPants has designed a ton of things, and I'm excited to get into a lot more depth on both of your histories and how you wound up coming together, because I think these sort of collaboration stories are one of the things that really show off how special our hobby can be and how strong the community is. How are you all doing? Shrub, why don't we start with you? How's your day going?
Doing good. Well, first we got to introduce the third guest, of course. This is Bugs. She doesn't pay her rent.
Pays and
she
cuddles. Just lives there. Just lounges.
Yeah, she pays in cuteness.
You got it.
We keep her around.
Very important. Very important. I had to close my door, so none of my cats are going to make it in here, unfortunately. But
quite unfortunate.
Viewers are familiar.
Yeah, so she's just chilling on my lap. She never does this, but we love that for her.
She knows it's her time. She knows it's her time.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so other than having a cat on your lap, how you doing?
Doing good. I started to get back into Nerf following some surgery recovery. Had my first big Nerf event. I'm up in the Pacific Northwest, so that was the Fort Borst Nerf War put on by the Pacific Northwest Nerf Club.
Yes, cool.
Real good time. Another weekend event coming up on this Saturday, the Lloyd Center Mall Blaster Battle put on by Trackers. So, any PNW folks, check that out.
Yeah, that's right. That we covered that a couple episodes ago, I think. That seems like a really, really cool one. Exciting to see another mall event.
100%.
Getting started.
We need more. We need plenty of wall events. They sound like fantastic events.
They're a really good time. It fits really well. We had some up in Everett as well that I was actually a moderator at. So old malls, really good Nerf location. Recommend.
Speaking of, were you? I'm curious. Were you listening to the podcast when I did trivia about Fort Borst?
I unfortunately was not. No. Okay. What was the trivia? I'm curious.
I'm just curious. I can't remember now. I don't know. It was a while ago. It was like a few months back, but
it was a while ago.
As a regular attendee, I would be curious because I'm sure that you're not the only person who goes there that heard that episode, but I didn't hear from anyone who.
Some of my friends have definitely listened to the epised. Was it about how old the fort is? Because I remember looking it up, and it's from the 1800s.
That was
crazy.
That was part of it. How do you spell it?
Borst.
Oh, there it is. Oh, I asked Gopher. That was episode 46.
Nice.
Oh, no. It was only one of the questions was about it. Wait. I swear.
Did we ask?
I don't know. When I search for it, it comes up. Okay, whatever. No, here it is. Structure. Oh, that's where I asked when the structure was originally built. That fort, the actual structure thing.
I want to say it was 1860. Unfortunately, we can't actually touch the structure anymore. They have little ropes around it.
I know. Part of the history is that it was built in one place and it was moved a really long time ago.
I actually didn't know that. That's actually really cool.
You should check out episode 46 of the Foam News Collective podcast.
If you look through the cracks in the walls, you can see a bunch of Nerf darts that have made their way into the fort over the years.
Oh, that's funny. And of course, we are also here with MrHeathPants, whose family I had to send some thanks to for shifting their nightly schedule so
a little bit.
He can
Just
be with
a bit.
us. Yeah. Well, I'm a family man myself. I get how it is, and I really appreciate it because it is so challenging sometimes to get everybody together. How are you doing? Really glad to have you on.
Good. I've been a little bit better. This weekend went to a Nerf war and got attacked by my own blaster, and the spring cap on my Martini Henry blasted me in the mouth.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Cut my lip, hit my tooth. Still gonna see where that leads. I haven't gone to the dentist yet. I'm a little afraid. It's getting better.
Wow, that's wild. The hazards of this hobby.
I know.
For sure.
Just the cap got stuck, and then I flagged myself with it while trying to get it out. I was careful until I wasn't, and then I was just like, oh. Yeah. So that wasn't fun. Blood everywhere. Pretty good though. I think after 9, almost 10 years doing this, that's my first any kind of real injury. So
the only time I ever remember people saying their blasters like exploding like that, aside from like Naptown kneeing his FDL in half that one time, was the homemades back in the day. They'd like explode in your hand if you weren't too careful.
That's terrifying.
So,
there's always a lot of discussion about the dangers of HPA and stuff, but like we are dealing with like pretty high pressure stuff on a regular basis and
forces and springs and things. Yeah,
I'm just glad it wasn't like primed and did that. It was just the pre-compression was enough to. I have like 2 cuts on my lip where it hit like smashed against my teeth and cut my mouth open. So.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Definitely loosened the tooth a little bit too.
Well, I'm glad you're mostly okay. I hope that works out in the long run.
This is a PSA.
Good reminder not to like be in the path of things. Actually, fully related. I have a 31K by Moose. Great blaster. Unfortunately, just like the zinc, it will explode if you aren't being careful when you're disassembling, and I did almost hit someone in the face with a plunger.
Oh my god.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that, folks.
Everyone write
that idea.
I'm just going
to know. I say as I look at my 31K Castle and Jackals right on the shelf back there. I'll keep that in mind if I ever take them apart.
Oh wow. So why don't y'all tell us a little bit about your history? Shrub, I know you're involved in a lot of different aspects of the hobby now, and I'm curious how you got your start. What kind of came first, and how you got hooked on blasting foam darts.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure Heath has a much better history, so I'll make mine quick. I got started in my first Nerf event was October of 2022. Or perhaps before that. I was really into 3D printing, and I kind of just organically stumbled upon Captain Slug's designs. And as an engineering student, I was really interested in like clean 3D design work. And there's a lot of really interesting 3D printed designs, but Slug's work specifically, his ability to make a functional part, especially something that, shot Nerf darts, was just really cool. I had been into Nerf a ton as a kid, and that kind of sparked something in me. And so I made his hyper, you can actually see it right there, printed on a tiny format printer. I split up the main like reinforcing rail in 2 to print. Don't do that. Bad idea. But it exists in some form to this day. And then that was kind of, the rest of it was history. I did the Hyper, I did the More Blasters Rat, which was like kind of a rainbow pistol derivative. Okay. And then I made the Talonclaw 4. And October of 2022 was the first Fort Borst Nerf War that I went to. And yeah, from then on, I've just continued to be in the hobby, continued to make more things. I love 3D design and 3D printing, and so I love anything that lets me continue to do that.
Yeah, that's really fascinating to hear too, because I know you primarily as a player. I've seen you play competitively. We were both at Ragfest, etc. But to know that your background really stems from your engineering work. I know that we had the designer of the words are just completely leaving my brain of the Stinger. Thank you and that it's he's this person who is primarily an engineer and not even really a nerfer. And so to have that conversation, but to see someone like you who's very involved in the hobby and very involved in the community, but you also came at it from an engineering perspective initially.
Yeah, really more or less. I'd say it's always been a hobby. my
Yeah.
job is engineering job, but I don't get to do technical things like making a 3D design. So this is kind of my creative outlet.
Can you what is
Yeah.
can you tell us what your job is?
Oh yeah, I work in construction management, so kind of like the boring desk job part of construction, making sure stuff happens. So it's still technical and it's still interesting, but
Yeah.
I'm
One
a
of those jobs
mechanical
where you
engineer
have
by
to
trade, so-
understand the engineering, but you're not like doing it hands-on per se.
Exactly. Yeah.
makes
So this
sense.
is my outlet to get to do the fun artsy stuff that I don't get to do at my job, which kind of prefer. I don't
Yeah,
really want to
yeah.
like put my creativity up for bid.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
for sure. How did you get involved in competitive play?
Shout out Silver Fox Industries. Ryan and Jesse started putting on Waffle Washington Foam Flinging League. Love us a good acronym, of course. So those started happening, I want to say 2023. And so I played out that season with my friends, and then 2024 season we played all the way through. And SFI had been running Fox Ups as a team for a number of years with different compositions, and eventually it ended up with me and two of my close friends were on the team. And then the rest of the Fox Ups people know all of them, great folks, and we just, it was kind of just like everything working out. I think it was sort of perfect storm. Like the Pacific Northwest hobby is fairly large, but there wasn't really a competitive scene.
Yeah,
And we're kind of trying to incubate one. We have gotten a lot more interest in the past years, but definitely like when Waffle was first starting out, it was kind of non-competitive. I mean, it was honestly kind of shocking that we got that win that we did at Ragnar Oktoberfest. It felt amazing. Definitely a highlight of my nerfing career.
that was a lot of fun. I remember.
yeah.
It was great getting to. I was sitting in your guys' estate. It was great getting to
I
watch you
remember, it was
guys
a good
play.
time.
You guys all did a spectacular job. I remember
Thank you.
Ryan and Jesse were quite happy with that because I think they had been talking about making Waffle a thing, and like when I had last visited in 2022, because there was like literally no competitive scene whatsoever from what I remember before Waffle.
Yeah,
It's nice to see that there's something there now.
Since Waffle's been running a couple times, Waffle itself gets a fair amount of interest, but like Fort Boris Nerf War now has a like kind of sort of a competitive bracket that they run during lunches. Pretty much every PNW event will now have some portion of it will be a little bit competitive. Typically, like for about an hour during lunch. We're really trying to make a thing out of it, and I think we've gotten a ton of new blood in the past year, a ton of new folks coming in, and we're excited. I think me and my friends are, we've kind of managed to get so involved with the local scene that we're going to try and make two teams happen, either organically or prodding the right people to go. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
That's awesome. Building those systems kind of to like allow community to grow. It's very,
100%.
very important. So thank you for being a part of that. Heath, how about you? You've been doing this for a while.
I sure have. It's I'm nearing 10 years. I mean, 10 years that I've been like going to events and like a part of the community in any way. I think I was modifying stock blasters and doing cosmetic mods and stuff before that. So that's been more than 10 years.
Heath, this
I
is
don't
going to
know
make you
exactly how
feel
long.
old, but I've been following your work long enough to say I grew up watching your stuff because I remember end of middle school, I was watching your YouTube videos. I am
That's
now out
crazy.
of high school. I'm turning 23
That's
this
insane.
year. I watched it because you were making your break action hammer shot was 2017. I would have just been getting out of middle school then.
Oh, that's crazy. It's been that long. I was
Yeah,
going to
I
say
know.
that like 2018, I think, was about when I got into the printing side of things, like designing.
Mhm.
That break action hammer shot, yes, that one brings back some memories. Totally useless in game, just for what that's worth. The shotgun, also useless. I mean, I almost got tags with it once, but I have a
All the
video.
designs are completely useless. Like, we all know this. The most fun
I-
stuff. Not
I
practical.
think Shrub might know them, but Cybran ended up with Heath's Vector Rapid Strike in their collection at some point. And then what was it? Winter was it Winter's Breath or something? It was some
I
kind
think
of
so.
like strife thing. That was one of my personal favorites for a long time of yours.
Yeah, I liked
not
that one a lot.
familiar.
Sent that off to someone. I think Captain Xavier has it now for repairs. He was making videos, but I don't know where that went. So a lot of those scratch builds, I guess, is what I would call them. They weren't exactly like integrations. Those are long gone, been in the bin for ages, or I've given them away or sold them or tossed them just because like they are cool, but that shotgun that I made out of an Exus 2 was really cool, and that was actually what got me started on the 3D printing side of things because it had 3D printed parts. But I made like 10 videos on how to build one, and I don't think anyone ever did, with good reason. So there is something really, really cool to me about the replicability of the 3D printing, just the entire thing.
Right. The consistency of it. Do you think that your how you build blasters has changed because of that, or because your skill set has increased, or like has your focus changed more towards like functionally game useful things as opposed to just being a cool thing?
It's all of the above. These days, I'm doing the shelf thing because it's fun, and I feel a lot of the time we get very kind of focused in the hobby on just the min-maxing our pump action talon-fed springers, and that's boring and not very fun. I mean, it's fun if it's like new for you, but you do kind of the fun wears off, and then like you need novelty.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, to go back a little further, I think in 2018 I did the MHP first blaster that was done in SketchUp. So,
Oh my god.
Oh wow. Okay.
Does someone want to briefly explain what SketchUp is for?
Okay, so that was like an old program that you used to use for like, I remember we did that for like drafting up like architecture design in middle school as like an elective class style stuff. Yeah, it was like some Google program.
Like
Wow.
it was all I knew.
Hearing SketchUp like takes me back to stuff like Google Hangouts and other like defunct stuff that you don't hear about anymore.
Yeah, it's a very dated program. It was kind of
wow, that took me back.
It was kind of I would say it's a little clunky, especially versus like other programs that are out there.
There's not even a comparison to CAD. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
It's like if Blender was somehow worse.
Yeah. I think
Like you can set the lengths of lines, but like you'd create a point in space to another point in space, and then you'd have to make up the triangle, and then you'd have to tell it to create the triangle out of that. Like
trying to figure out what the scale was you made something was impossible sometimes in SketchUp.
And it just broke.
Not a good choice, but I mean, honestly, pretty good considering. I think.
That's pretty good.
But, so that's the first. After that, I did lots of things. Moved over to Fusion and made the Pigeon, the MHP2, the Magpie. I did a Black Ops 3 replica, the XR2. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I've tried the MHP like 10 times.
There was the replacement strife that you did. I distinctly remember because a lot of there was something like replacement strife or something that was based off of one of your previous designs.
Many ACRs like the Bushmaster, Remington, Magpul, replicas. For a while I really enjoyed doing replicas because that's kind of what got me into the whole modding. Is like, well, real guns look cool, so I'll just make a Nerf gun blaster, replica. And I kept doing some of that, and there is like I still kind of enjoy that sometimes. But I've moved on to I think overall now that I've kind of like it's all culminated into functional action replicas, but not like visual replicas. So that's why I've got the bolt actions, the lever actions. I've got the Martini Henry or Gehendra, I guess. I've got this, Helldiver's autocannon. I've got various revolvers and shell ejecting pistols that are never going to get released. So just like all kinds of things, because it's fun, but then our games are uncapped. So I'm playing regularly against people running like 300 FPS. Usually that's kind of the higher average. But we've had a couple where it's like someone's got something hitting like 450, and the original Winchester is maxing at like 190, and it could not cut it. And so I've been through like 4 or 5 Winchester designs trying to figure out how to get more power out of it, how to make it more effective, and some of those turned out really bad, and but now I've got it. The Smiley and the Renfield 3 are based on that technology, the plunger and grip stuff that I've worked out.
Right.
And I got the lever action up to 250, 260.
Nice.
So
That's very cool.
It's still a little low for our games, but it's like competitive enough.
Well, and it goes back to that conversation about design doesn't have to be boring and just reach the top possible numbers. Like, you want to have fun using the thing, which is a big part of where Smiley came from, which is part of why we initially wanted to have you on. So I'd love to hear more from both of you. First of all, about how you connected on this. I mean, it kind of seems like because this was unreleased files initially, right? So how did that connection between the two of you get made?
Actually, wait, Heath, do you remember how we first started talking? I think we just kind of existed in some design servers together and like interacted with each other. And then we met at Ragnarok Oktoberfest 2024.
Yeah.
I remember
okay, so it's
like when we had any kind of like actual contact was Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Grim and I were there for the inception of this and didn't even know it.
Yeah, last year was the first time I've ever been out of state for anything. So
wow,
that was really cool. I'm planning on going back this year. So we met. We talked probably a little bit here and there in passing. I think if I remember right, what more or less happened was I shared this. I'll put it up because I've got all my blasters here, so you can't see it, but it's the Renfield 3, which has that traditional rifle stock, hunting stock thing going on, and Shrub here was like, "Hey, can you do the Mad Minute?" And so I was like, "Well, sure. What is that?" So I did it. I think I got 18 shots off, with the clips and all of the stuff as per
okay. Now you gotta explain
thing.
what that is, because I actually don't know what that is.
So I can jump in here if you don't mind. So this was like it kind of just a stroke of fate, if you will. I love a good weird mechanism. I too had been kind of tiring on like traditional stuff, and if I was going to design something, it was going to be weird. I'd randomly stumbled upon this animated video, a YouTuber named like Atelier or a Rainy Dancer. Got to him through Signalis. I am a stereotype. They made really cool stuff, but they had this one video of just some 3D character using a bolt action rifle, but using a fascinating style of handling it where I can demo it. Basically, traditional bolt action, you have your firing hand here, and then you break your grip to prime it. The Mad Minute, you just keep your hand here, and then you prime as normal, and then you use your middle finger to operate the trigger. And so in that way, you can get quicker shots off, developed during World War I. So I had just started getting really into this concept when Heath starts posting this crazy bolt action, and I'm like, this was traditional layout. This looks like he could do it, because no other Nerf hobby blaster is actually laid out this way. They're all laid out in like the modern style of bolt action. Like I have
Right,
a
I have that too.
Ninja derivative. Yeah. Of course.
Okay,
Gotta
4.
flex the Kieran.
Okay, it's fine. They're not falling. Let's see how many we could stack.
I am so on board for this. Anyways, yeah, so he started posting about his stuff, and I was like, oh, can you do a Mad Minute on that? And yeah, Heath, you can tell the rest, I'm sure.
Yeah, so the stats, I guess, for the Mad Minute is like how many shots fired, how many targets hit. I think that's the only two. There's also like
50 meters or something.
Yeah, it was like
100
a 4x5 target at like 300 meters or something, or it was like there's specifications for that, and like I don't know how to replicate that. Obviously, they're Nerf blasters. Like we're not shooting out at 100 meters or anything. So I was like, well, I'll see how fast I can, because mine uses clips just like an Enfield. So I was like, I'll see how fast I can just cycle and fire this and like do the reloading. And I think I got 18 shots in a minute, which isn't amazing. I don't remember. I brought my sister over. We did this together and timed each other. And I think I got more shots, but she got more hits. And anyway, so it's just like this, just kind of a fun like exercise, but. We have
was this ask for the Mad Minute a test to see if this thing would do what you wanted to do, or
it was just because
it was because I was like, this thing looks really cool, and I want to see if you can do that crazy style of operating the trigger with your middle finger.
Yeah.
The Mad Minute is two things. It's the World War I British training drill, but then there's also the technique that came out of it of doing this. So this could do both, which is great.
I think if I remember the numbers right, the world record for it from some lunatic was like 40 to 45 shots fired in a minute, which is just insane because they're loading clips every 5 rounds. They have to do a reload, and it's just like, how do you do that? So nowhere near world record yet. Gonna take a little time for that.
Yet.
Right.
Yeah. I haven't been practicing. I gotta be honest.
So how did this turn into? Let me give you my unreleased files for my blaster and turn it into your. Because I mean, a lot of this is based on sort of your ideals and your dream, Shrub, right? For what this would look like.
Basically, yeah. I was like, this looks amazing. I think I literally just asked. Really, probably one of my favorite things about the hobby is you can literally just DM someone and like,
it's true.
Even if you aren't well known, they might just be like, yeah, sure, take it. It's great. It's awesome. I've gotten so many free things from random people. I think I have like the step file of the SBF like B-car shroud. Never did anything with it. Shout out Gavin. Well, shout out Pacific Northwest Eli, who convinced Gavin to give it to them and then gave it to me, who proceeded to do nothing with it.
I have such a weird collection of like STLs that way, and I don't own a printer for the record. I just have like a weird repository of random files I've acquired that way. At some point or another, someone's just been like, "Hey, here's this random file. Take it. Maybe you'll build one someday." We're like, "Okay, cool." Like, I think they're in somewhere in there. There's like FDL3 files and some like random other stuff in there. And
we love data hoarding.
So I have one of Slug's original printers from around when when he was printing some of the original blasters. My plan at some point, I have many plans, but my plan at some point is to get it running again, primarily to be able to have people have access to see it as a museum thing, but also like I have a couple old Slug prints, and if something ever happens to one of them, to be able to recreate, because it also came with a thumb drive, and I have not opened up that thumb drive yet, and I need to, because I would like to get the files off of it and see what's in there and back it up.
I'm imagining that Slug just put a zip bomb on that instead. No files. Your computer's just gone now.
I mean, you never know, I guess, but what an honor to have your computer decimated by Captain Slug from 15 years ago or whatever.
So true.
Right.
I just opened my files and I have some random cyberpunk like build it yourself no hardware kit flywheel blaster thing in these files. I don't. This is using
No
fold
hardware
arts.
kit.
I don't know when this came out or who made this, but I'll send this over to Vile.
Just send it over. Send it over to me. I want to take a look.
Anyway,
Yes.
so next step.
Yeah. I think, let's see. First, Heath had been posting, and I was like losing my mind on this server because I was like, this is the coolest Nerf blaster I've ever seen. And so I asked him for files, and he was like, sure. And then because he's such a real one, he sent me a little hardware kit. Like he'd gotten bolt handles from Send Cut Send or something, and there's like some specialty O-rings or whatever. And so he sent me a little baggie with like all the stuff that I'd need and the step files. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to build one. And then I did the thing that I think different designers have different opinions on when I do this, but I promise that it's a sign of respect where I open up a step file and I'm like, oh, I don't like these parts of it. I'm going to go remake the whole thing. And so I spent the next, 2 to 3 months just completely rebuilding it from the ground up, trying all the new things that well, not a complete rebuild. It's got the core mechanisms are all Heath. Like, that's kind of why like I've made sure to credit Heath wherever I can, because like this is ultimately like because of him that this exists. I just did the like everything in front of here. I wanted to do shells, but then I was like, if I'm already doing a ground up remix, what if I just make it take magazines?
Right.
And lost my mind for a couple months. It was like, then I started printing it and it actually worked, and I was like, oh, this is like a thing. This is something that people enjoy and that works pretty well. And so I kind of decided to like make something out of it. And then Heath was in the background watching me just like slowly carve up his work more and more. Recently, I asked him if it'd be easy to convert this concept to using his Winchester mechanism, and he sounded really sad when I mentioned it. So I'm not going to do that out of respect to Heath.
I'm just going to shove some stuff off. Yeah.
I can attest that lever action is nice. I got to use the rival version at Rag Expo, and it feels really good. That was one of the turning points for me, is like I'd been watching Heath's work for a long time. Great filament color too. I've been watching his work for a long time.
I wish it hit harder. I was so outclassed at Rag.
So good, though.
The entire
Like
PvP, I was just suffering because I don't think I got a single tag with it. Because for whatever reason, it's only hitting like 85, which wasn't enough. I had another one. I had an older version here that hit 100 or 110, but I don't like it nearly as much. So just as a funny aside about it, it says this huge like priming angle, and this one is just like tiny. It's so fast to just cycle.
Looks so good.
And that made
I remember
so...
I handled your stuff at Rag, and I was like, oh, Heath is onto something. Oh, you were also posting about the autocannon a few months before that. Like,
I don't think I can fit that up here.
That's okay. I mean, if we want to test the file at some point, like maybe like the
there we go.
Perfect.
I gotta say that has got to be one of the.
That just looks like a Lego castle.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Doesn't look like anything else.
Oh, that thing is huge.
I gotta say that is probably one of
stuff
the
before.
To date coolest
I'm
things
so
we've gotten
excited
to cover on FNC.
Because
Yeah,
it is unlike anything else.
Amazing.
There's something really special.
I was literally a table over from you last year. I should have gone over and actually tried out some of the stuff in person. I'm gonna have to make a point to do that next year, or this year rather, if I can.
I would
it up
love that.
Oh.
So can you? And I think that we know this information, but I'd like to hear from you. For what reason did you go with Nightingale mags with this as opposed to Talons?
It's the physical space of the bolt, the way that it works.
Yeah.
So it's got these two arms, which I actually have some of them here, the metal arms.
You got to
They're
explain it, though, because a
spaced.
lot of people just listen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they're
yeah, so-
they're evenly spaced, and they go back into the plunger on the ram. And so there's just this like physical limitation of what can go between them. And so only Nightingale mags fit. Talons with that wide bowed out mag lip, they just can't physically squeeze into there. I mean, you can put them further forward, but the Smiley like really cuts down on the dead space and puts it all kind of as sleek and svelte as possible. And the Talons would have to go way forward.
Do you think that there's a possibility, because of that limitation, of hobby designs moving more widely towards the Nightingale mags now that they exist as a standard?
I will say that almost immediately a user named Flibby has created a standard Talon remix.
I did see that.
And I talked to them, and it was really easy for them to do. So a certain portion of this being Nightingale was just me being a little bit lazy. I didn't think about it. So shout out Flibby for immediately like catching that. I want to see more Nightingales. They feel just really good. They fit in tons of stuff. I bought like 3 because of this crazy Titanfall 2 alternator, which is unfortunately closed source from the Chinese designer Misaka Hiro. Fantastic work. I saw this and I was like, oh, I have to make one. And so I bought some Nightingale mags, and then I got a 31K, and the rest is history. I got Double Striker to make me a Nightingale pusher breach for the Twist Fury. So for me, I'm intending to make Nightingales like my thing. They're not better than Talons. They're maybe a little worse in some ways, but they're fun. They're so fun. They're so compact, and you can minimize most of the issues.
I'm going to make a controversial statement. I do not like Talons at all. I think they are the worst mag.
All right, start the drama. Why?
So it goes all the way back to the first one here. When I made the original MHP, there were no mags except katanas, and katanas were poorly produced, and there were some design cues that were added by executives who don't know what they're doing. But the reversible, slimmer, smaller, geometric, like the geometry of it was amazing for like versatility, because we could have the mag release in the front. Can't see it. The mag release is in the front because the catch is in the front because it's on both sides, and and I can see the value in an asymmetric mag, except that I saw people load them backwards, like.
I have loaded so many Talons backwards and then just had to undo, redo.
Yeah, like a dozen times.
Dart Zone mags. I love these things. They feel so good. Yeah. They're just the final end state of katanas, and then Dart Zone went to Talons because that's what everyone uses.
Right.
Yep.
I don't like Talons either.
It's not necessarily that like the katanas were better, because they sure weren't. I wish personally that Worker had just copied the geometry fully with the higher quality mags. And the Nightingale kind of has that going for it, the Nightingale mags, because they're slimmer, they're smaller, they don't have like these bowed out weird shapes and all these weird ridges and stuff. So, All
right. Fair enough. I do like Nightingale mags. The handful that I've gotten to play with, it feels like it makes Talons feel like they're just extra big for some reason, Like when your whole life you've been using full size mags, and you get a Talon for the first time, you're like, oh, look, it's so nice, it's so small, and then you get something that's actually fit to the size of the dart, and you're like, oh, that's a small difference, but it makes a big difference.
Yeah. That was like the entire design impetus behind my MHP blaster. Was I was holding a katana mag, and I was like, this is so small, you could make that in the grip. And here we are now. So
right. And
I don't use mags at all anymore, and that's just how it is, I guess.
You can kind of see a comparison here. I guess people listening wouldn't be able to, but you can see the Talon is
Imagine.
slightly taller than the Dart Zone mag, and then the Nightingale's even slimmer than either of them.
Right.
Uh,
I mean, part
that
of
was
part of
like
that's
this
probably
whole.
just the plastic they're using, right?
I think is probably the plastic. Yeah, I think for Talon magazines, or like base Talons, they are longer, maybe to account for dart length tolerance.
Right.
But one of the reasons I did Nightingales for Smiley, not only because I couldn't figure out a way to do Talons, but I knew that they would probably be possible. But at some point I made the executive decision that it would be kind of cool if I could make a Springer that actually takes Talons, because
Right.
like there's the Rush remix.
That takes nightingales, you mean?
Yeah, there's the Rush remix that takes Nightingale. Like, there's the Kitsune by I want to say Northeast Designs. Like right before they kind of closed up shop, they released the Kitsune, which was Nightingale Mag and Grip Springer. As far as I knew, Springers with Nightingale mags didn't really work. People kept having lots of issues, and so I was like, well, I'm doing this crazy project anyways. What if I just make a Nightingale Springer that works?
Well,
And I
you did.
won't say I fully succeeded, but
I
it does
mean,
work really well.
people seem to be using it and liking it, and I'm curious how you feel about where the state of that project is, and whether you feel like you achieved kind of what you wanted to achieve with it, and from both of you too, like what's next for this design? Like where else is this going?
Yeah, I actually am curious to hear what Heath says, so I'll try and be quick in my response. It's been amazing to see the response from people. I have had some blasters that garnered some interest. You can see the Hecate design right here, which is on printables. That was kind of like my first big breakout. I never expected a response like this. It's been great to see people loving how fresh it is, and of course, credit to Heath. Like, who else has spent this much time in the hobby making this many weird mechanisms that, like, he finally cracked the code. I done as a hard thing to say. I got the Smiley to a point that I was like, yeah, I think a fairly competent modder could make this comfortably. And that was like, I kind of set a goal of like fix most of the problems, and I reached that goal, and then I was like, all right, it's time to release. I have a couple things that I theoretically could work on. Anyone who's watching and wants to do this for me, please do this for me. The breach, the brass breach, and I think just kind of any breach remix, something about the ramping of it doesn't quite work. This is my little tidbit of advice for everyone designing a Springer blaster. Your flare entering the breach should be even wider than 16 millimeters. That is how I avoid the Nightingale mag from jamming darts. It still jams darts sometimes, but it's substantially less than any other Nightingale Springer I've heard about. The reasoning for that is that the front of the dart that's loaded likes to be at a bit of an angle, pointing downwards or upwards. It's not straight. So a well-constrained dart is always good. Smiley does not, because of the layout, you cannot constrain the dart. So instead I have a massive flare, and that fixed it. Something's wrong with the flare though. I think it's because it's rounded instead of just a flat conical curve inwards. So if someone wants to remix the breach for me, please do. Beyond that, I have ideas for stuff I could do, but I want to see what other people make. Like I did my thing. I'm kind of satisfied. I have all these things that I could make, improvements and stuff, but I kind of want to see who else picks it up. Transitioning to Heath, who is making a remix of my remix of his model.
Yep.
That looks amazing.
Basically, gonna rework my old parts because I like specifically. I really like the long barrel, the long handguard.
It looks very good, I will say.
Classic stuff. I want it, but I also want the Smiley specifically with its mag capabilities so that I can hand that to my dad specifically and be like, here, go to town. Because he plays with us, me and my sister. And right now, I hand him a Kieran with an angled Talon mag conversion, and he does good with it. But what if he could do gooder?
So true.
So for me, the whole thing with the Smiley has been kind of unreal because it's like I see my blaster, but not quite. Like the grip on the Smiley and the stock, it's mostly the same. And so it's like I recognize the parts. And when I watched the Out of Darts build guide, it was really cool to see just some of the parts. They are the parts. Like I recognize the trigger rod and stuff. Whoops, dropped it.
I think the trigger rod is literally completely untouched.
Yeah. The one that I just dropped, I decided to add a slot to the back so that it doesn't go up. And so, it can be better than it is, but it's fine.
Everything can always be improved, but at some point you have to choose your done. And because of remix culture, like, I'm just going to let other people do it.
Mm-hmm. And, they're the other cool thing, because I wasn't sure about having it be fully open source, because that's not usually how I do things. And that's usually because I'm working with Shellington and Harrison, GDOP. He's fairly closed source with things. We're using a lot of custom hardware and stuff. And so we've kind of just, it's like, well, you have to get the hardware from him anyway. So, he'll give you access to the files. But the thing about the Renfield 3 and the Smiley is that it can be printed without any metal parts. Like mine has a metal bolt. I've got the metal priming arms because I love Send Cut Send and they will take all my money. But for the lay person, they can just build it. And so I shared the Renfield 3 with a few people in Singapore and a few other people here and there, because it's like, well, you can just source this stuff. It screws, a plunger tube, and you're done. And so, then the Smiley takes that even further, because it's like, well, now you can actually modify it. And the technology that I developed with the plunger and grip system is accessible to anyone who wants to make something weird or make it a pump action, I guess. And
None yet. Knock on wood.
That hasn't happened yet. And I'm sure it will at some point. But
Silly Butts is going to do it just to meme.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's been working on it. The smirk.
There you go.
My one piece of critique is that it uses ball T10s for the mag release. Don't do that.
Yeah,
please.
that's not fun.
I'll take a pump action Smiley. I'll be fine with it, but no D10 mag releases.
Yeah, please.
You could do better. Any other designer out there, you can do better. Pick a better one.
So
I
one
do
of
want to
the
see what people do
funniest,
with the
to me,
big
the
mechanism.
funniest isn't the pump action that will happen eventually. It's that someone made a lever action. They converted the Smiley into a lever action, which is what it started as, was, a
That's
lever
very
action.
funny. That's very funny.
So
Heath, I'm actually curious about that. Have you seen the cutaway? Like, what are the similarities and differences? And for anyone who doesn't know, it's the Babyface blaster from TF2. I think it's on printables.
Oh, yeah.
it is.
Seen that.
So I can't really get to it right now because it's inside the blaster. But basically, the way that I did this is to demonstrate visually here, but explain it, is the lever is a very large single cut piece, and then there's a priming rod that's also a very large single piece, 1/4 inch olive parts. So they're really heavy steel parts, and so you're just directly camming with relying on that it's steel. The way that this remix was done is it has these two huge gears on each side of the lever, and like a rack and bolt kind of, or whatever.
Rack and pinion, I think? Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. It's gear stuff. I don't like gears. So it's just this huge, 3-tooth gear that primes the bolt, and then that has the priming arms that, primes the plunger assembly. And that's just such a way different way to approach the exact same problem as to how I did it. And it was really cool to see. And it's funny to me that it started as a lever action. And I've been tearing my hair out for probably since 2019, trying to figure out how to make a rifle grip. a rifle stock bolt action, because it's just like, it's one of my holy grails as a designer, is like, I love that World War II stuff and World War One and cowboy stuff and like all the old stuff. It's just so interesting. And
Shout out Hunt Showdown.
yeah, exactly. I haven't played it, honestly. I should. I'm probably not going to. Too much Helldivers.
I have a Martini Henry. That's actually, I think one of my most, before I learned about your autocannon and way before the bolt action, you made the first concept Martini Henry. And now you've made a successful one that I really want. Barrett, if you're watching this, I want that hardware kit. Send me one, please. I'll pay you.
You made a successful Martini Henry, and then it attacked you.
Yes, it did. It did not like me. Did not like me. So this one actually is the reason that the current version of my lever action, which is I'm working with Shellington to get that out. So hopefully we'll get kits going and stuff soon. Nice. It's the same like single like linkage arm setup, and then it just like cams the breech block down like the real thing. It's pretty accurate as a mechanical replica, but a little different. Like the position of the lever is different and stuff. Okay. And it's just that single shot. Like you have to prime it, it ejects a shell, and you have to load a shell and then close it and fire it, and it's so silly. But it also hits like 240, so, you know, because like I said earlier, like our games are uncapped, so it's like we have to, if I want to use anything, it has to be pretty good. And that's driven the designs in new ways that I wouldn't have envisioned if I didn't have to. Yeah. So that I could still enjoy myself.
The necessities of reality and limitations. That's really cool to hear. It's exciting that there's a future for this continuing, whether it's community oriented or whether it's the design population continuing to eat itself like a design Ouroboros. I want to pivot forward and get into some questions from our Ko-Fi supporters and kind of continue this discussion about the origins of your design philosophies. To clarify for listeners, we are partially supported by our Ko-Fi backers who give us money every month to do this. Thank you to them. One of the perks that they get is to ask our podcast guest questions. I was thinking, actually, Vile Grimz, you wanna read these questions off? Maybe I'll start with Gophers.
I'll start with Gophers, actually. So, Iron Gopher asks, this is primarily for Mr. Heathpants. Where do you get inspiration for your creations? Like, are you formally trained because these things seem impossible? Obviously, I think you kind of answered that a little bit before. So that's his first question. And then his second question is also, when are you going to release the files for the MHP 15 MK3? I'm still waiting.
Using a subscription service to bully a creator is wild. I gotta respect it. Like, gotta respect the game.
This is not the first time. This is not the first time Gopher has done this.
Gopher, yeah. If you know Gopher, this is on par. This is on brand.
Okay, I'm gonna address
Is that your answer? Is that is that where we're going here?
Okay, the first to the second part, the MHP3 has been abandoned for the 4, 5, 6, Shell 1, and all of the others forever because I'm just never happy. So probably not happening because I have perfected the lever action, I would like to think, and that's just unfortunate if you like grip-fed flywheels. As for inspiration and all in that, I am not in any way formally trained. I have no engineering experience. I have no formal education in engineering. I am an illustrator. I got a BFA in illustration. I draw comics. So, I mean, that explains like my visual approach, cosmetics. I just think stuff's cool. I like to see how things work. I've been told that working in brushless is the same, but it's just a program, and I don't believe it. I don't think it works the same. I don't think it's this thing pushes on that, and then that pushes on that, and then it does stuff. I don't believe it. But, with the mechanical side of things, it's just this thing does that. I would love to be able to really show, just as a small thing here and I'll explain it, on this new Winchester that I've been working on. I was having a problem mechanically, and I'm not an engineer, so I just hit it with a stick until it works, where the lifter was pushing. Yeah, so the lifter, yeah, the lifter's pushing on the lever, and it'll unlock itself and open up. And I realized that I could make the lifter itself lock with a little tab off the side by the bolt, so it just is just solving little problems by being like, this thing does this, and then that does that, and now the Winchester can't open on its own. You have to cycle a lever to open the bolt, and it's really neat. And it's just that thousands of times.
You sound a little bit like Domochevsky, where you didn't have a background in it, but you have an idea and you just sort of start attacking it in different ways until you kind of get what you want out of it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I like replicating things too. Shout out to World of Guns. That game is amazing. I've got 1 million hours on it because you just sit there and look at the mechanisms, and every design I've ever done has something drawn from that game, I think. Like my LMG that I'm not going to put on the table. I'm out of room. That entire mechanism
put it on the table. Peer pressure.
Oh, fine. So heavy. I got to take the box off. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, let's go.
The entire
The
mechanism.
Jenga tower is trying to fall over.
It's pretty stable. It's just copied off an M60 machine gun, because I can just look at how it works in that game, I guess. I wouldn't even call it a game, but it's on Steam, so I guess it's a game. And you can just see how it works. You can just kind of play with it. And then it's I can make that shoot Nerf darts, so why not?
Right. Perfect way to do it, though.
Sick.
Honestly.
Grim, you want to read the next one? Question,
yeah, give me a second. All right, Emilio says, no question, but big thumbs up to both of them for such fun designs. Look forward to seeing more. Thumbs
We're all
up.
doing thumbs up in the
I don't think I have a thumbs up emote. One pointer finger up, I guess.
Thank you, Emiliano. No, God damn it. Sorry, that's a friend of mine. Thank you, Emilio. My sanity is the price I pay for making cool things. I'm glad people get something out of it. As stated in the printables page, every Smiley build contains a piece of my soul.
Sorry, I'm adding my sanity is the price I pay for making cool things to the potential title for the episode.
I'm on board with it. I frequently, when I'm just talking to friends about my designs and stuff, that is kind of all I talk about. Yeah. I frame it as I lose my mind for a couple months and then a cool thing comes out.
I get that. Next up, I can read one. That feels a little long for a title, Grim.
Yeah, it is. I was typing it out to see how it was.
Colin of Go Slow Taco asks, one, for a design as complicated as a complete blaster, how do you know when you're done with a design? We sort of discussed that, but I'm curious how you answer it directly. Do you feel like you stop when you make it as good as possible, or do you think that there's always room for improvement? I know you talked about that a little bit, about kind of being I don't know, let other people take it over at this point. Right? Yeah.
I have two answers. The first one is that this works because I took all of Heath's sanity and then I just made a cool body kit for it. That's why this gets to be done.
Right.
I have my own custom ground-up design. Shout out Jaden, who will never leave me alone about this. This is the red hair... My brain is just gone tonight. This is the Typhon.
Like,
This is a
that's the thing
design.
already.
When I went to the Fort Borst Nerf War in October of 2022, I had a functional version of the Typhon. It is now May of 2025, and I don't consider this done. It is a rainbow pistol. I made the More Blasters Rat. I did not like it. Shout out to the designer because they're a really cool person, but I did make the rat and it made me very sad. And so I made the rat, but what in my opinion was good.
All right.
Easy to print, swappable front end, stuff like that.
That's cool.
The answer to the question is I'm not done, and I'll never be done. Jaden, you can quote me on
never
that.
are.
You're never getting it.
I swear I've seen Typhon hosted in a Discord server somewhere when it was being worked on, and I was like, "Oh, that looks pretty neat."
When
you
it was
mentioned,
being worked on, you mean right now?
yeah, I mean just like
Anytime in the
early
past
on,
4 years.
anytime in the past probably, and then Hecate. I distinctly remember when that first getting made. I was really excited about it actually, right when you first built that thing, and I remember showing that off to Ryan, being like, "Hey, look, very cool thing. I really like this," and he was like, "Oh, that's actually pretty cool." I did not put two and two together. That was you. I've been to the printables phase before. I have the files on my computer. I don't have a printer, as I've previously said,
Funny.
but I downloaded the file.
Happy that I gave you cool stuff. I honestly, I don't do this for the attention or the money. I mean, the attention is nice. Like, yeah, I've been checking the viewership on my printables page every couple days, but honestly, I just like seeing that people like it. But I do stuff that I like, and sometimes I post it. Don't ask me how many backlogs of completed files I have that I just haven't posted. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
Also, Hecate, that is just the Traveler by Tybee Traveler. And then there's the Some Dingus remix for the rear load. I kind of, my thing is I take something that already works and then I am picky, so I don't like it. And so I make it what I consider to be better.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's a good approach. I mean, that's the community approach, right?
Yeah, iterative design.
HeathPants, how about you? Do you do it for the money, for the fame, or for the notoriety?
Both.
the
No
attention?
questions asked. Money and fame. Actually, I have made
Famously loaded with cash than our hobby.
Yes, I've made a pretty solid extra income off of this. Not that I have any main income. I am lucky and I get to stay home and watch my kids and draw comics because my wife is awesome. So, shout out to my wife. But
Oh yeah! Shout out to my partner.
I've
Doing
made,
shout outs.
I've made a pretty solid chunk of money off of it. I get a lot of attention. It's nice. As for the actual question, when do I consider it done? The answer it really is and always will be no. Because you'll just always find something. Now, am I sick of it? Am I done with it? Do I want to smash it on the ground and never see it again? Yeah, that happens. I have designs that I come back to, like the MHP I've come back to 1,000 times and never happy. The lever action is my true favorite forever. And I thought I was done with that in 2020.
Right.
The first version of it was the end of 2019. I ran it the first time in October. And in 2019, because before that I used a caliber and I was I don't like this at all. And so I made it and then I'm this is cool. Oh yeah, this is fun. And then I'm okay, now it needs to be better. Let's get 200 FPS. Never got 200 FPS. And then I'm okay, well, what if I make it easier to build? And that's the Mark II that I think gets bypassed entirely. And then I was well, what if I go different? What if the plunger tube's in the grip and we have more draw? And that was actually, as a side note, because I always like to tell this story whenever I can, is that when I was working on the original Winchester, me and Harrison were kind of competing on ideas. And I just kind of got there faster with the moving plunger tube linear draw design that we used. That was short draw, 55 millimeters. I went back to his design, which was plunger and grip, pretty similar, but it used a hose and stuff. And he had a 3.5-inch draw, which was significantly longer. And it's oh, this would have been more powerful the whole time. So I took some notes from that. and just kind of like reiterated it and got it over 200. I think the first prototype was hitting like 230, which is 50 more than I was getting out of the original version. And so I also there was a brief, the same size 1 3/4 inch plunger tube that I used in the autocannon and that the Ranger uses. I made one that had that size of plunger tube, but with the 55 millimeter draw, and it got over 200, and that was cool. But I was like, this isn't enough. And so then my quest for ever more, like just figuring it out. And with this one, there's been a lot of different versions of the lever that are significantly different. And I'm just not done until I'm like, it does everything that I could possibly want it to flawlessly and perfectly. And the only reason that one gets so many iterations is because I just like it the most. And there's so many that are just scrapped and thrown away and like dismissed because I could do more with them, but like I don't really feel like it. Like honestly, the Renfield 3, I'm like, hey, it works. I'm good. Like it does what I want. Yeah. It could do all of those things better. Every single one. Well, whatever.
Everybody asks when the blaster is done, and nobody asks when I'm done.
Exactly.
Something Boulevard of Broken Blasters. I don't
exactly.
There's something there.
It's done when all the things that are broken with it I forgot to put in my write-up notes, and I crossed everything else off, and so it's done.
I also went back and checked the Hecate. I found that in 2022. You said I'm wrapping up the design in 2022 August.
Wait, Hecate or Typhon?
Sorry, Typhon, not Hecate. Yep. Sorry. Yep, Typhon.
It has been wrapping up for... every time I come back to it, I come up with new ideas. Most recently, I did actually make substantial progress. Like, this is much different. It has pins in the rear, and so it's really easy, quick swap spring. It's cooking. It's just not done because I keep wanting to add more front ends, and then the front ends don't work, and so then I don't want to release the whole design. Yeah.
What I'm hearing is wrapping up his famous last words. Got it.
It is.
I don't promise anything
wrapping
anymore.
it up, and now it's like the world's largest tape ball. It's just keeps wrapping over and over and over again. Vile, you want to read the last question?
Sure. So this is from Dead Man's Foam. It's actually a few different questions, but we'll first one's going. Looking at the foam dart blaster space, it seems we have reached the peak of efficiency of springs and flywheelers.
Okay, so let's stop right there.
Yeah, we'll stop on that
one. We have not.
We haven't.
We have so far to go.
But do you feel, or are you already noticing people migrating back to gimmick type blasters?
They're asking the right people.
So let's stop right there.
You are asking the right people. I would say, I mean, Heath is standing right here. He's done nothing but gimmick blasters. Almost feels like an insult because his stuff is works of art. I must state that first. But he's been making gimmick blasters the whole time. I've been just messing around in the corner.
I mean, it depends on your definition of gimmick, right? I think to some people in context, gimmick is that it's not like one of the sort of accepted competitive linear plans for a blaster design.
Like shell ejecting is considered a gimmick, and it doesn't matter how it's shell ejecting. It's just if it is shell fed even is considered a gimmick.
Well,
I think the question, like, are gimmick blasters coming back versus are people getting tired of standard format, I think is kind of missing the fact that at any given time both things are happening simultaneously. The zeitgeist is in like SBL2 or like other like brushless blasters, like the really nice competitive stuff that's still ongoing, and the gimmick stuff is ongoing too. I mean, Smiley is like a marked like a big release of like a bolt action that actually works. That's because of the Renfield Mark III, which is also releasing soon, probably. I don't know.
We'll see. I hope so.
But yeah, like we've seen also a lot of stringers that are just very unique, and they're not.
That's just Lidl. I think it's literally just Lidl off in his corner, just cooking.
Well, because Domo has some, Lidl has some. There's there's one other person that also foam blasted. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I believe
Foam
Foam Blast
has been making good
but-
ones.
but yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
everyone in Europe.
Yeah,
Everyone in Europe. So
Do they
Actually,
just not have
Europe's really
springs
big
there?
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just they love the elastic bungee cord. But yeah, so we'll move on to the second and third questions that Deadman has. So, how many darts do you put through your blaster before you call your design complete and ready for release?
Or at least just ready for release, I guess.
I would say, yeah, at least ready
Based
for
on our
release.
current conversation.
Yeah.
Lots. I've never even considered the idea of
You don't count them?
counting. No,
You don't
I
keep
don't.
stats?
What I know is the most is like for me is my machine gun, and that's because you couldn't test it without shooting 50 darts at a time every time.
Right.
And
How
I
many
can't afford
blasters
to
is
use
the
it.
guy that made that? What's that called? The backpack
The Moab.
thing?
Oh,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Moab.
How
gosh,
many
yeah,
how many
Gatling
darts has
Tommy.
the Moab guy put through his design before
Yeah,
he
right.
considers his
Oh my
stuff?
god,
I heard he's
millions
making a brushless
probably.
version of that.
Oh,
That
God.
doesn't surprise me.
Just for context, Deadman has been working in the background on his own blaster, and I think he's probably looking for some advice. That might be why. I know this, so I'm sorry, Deadman. I'm giving out your secrets. Just to close it off for his questions, though, what is your all-time favorite off-the-shelf blaster and why?
Ooh, I can answer this one. Actually, 3 thoughts. The third one is actually answering that question. First thought, I measure in terms of events. I typically take something to 2 or 3 events because you never know what's actually going to happen until you are paying attention to everything except the blaster you're holding. That's when
Right.
you'll come into issues, and that's when you find the stuff that you have to fix. Second thing, Deadman, I thought I recognized that name. Bunch of really cool cosmetic Smiley remixes. Deadman just released 3 of them. So shout out Deadman.
Yeah.
Cool work on that. And then final answer, I gotta answer The Outlaw. The Dart Zone Outlaw.
Oh yeah.
It's classic. I mean, I like it so much that this is the one that I get all my autographs.
Yeah,
done
you've
on.
done
Nice.
some good stuff in there. I saw Addie's name on there for one. It's the one
Yeah,
I saw clearly in the camera.
My favorite is Captain Xavier. This is,
Oh, yes.
I must state for the record, Captain Xavier in person, like not in character, is exactly the same. He's an awesome dude. And so I asked for his autograph and he just draws an X. Yeah, I've got Out of Darts, I've got Flux, I've got
For
Xbox.
anyone curious about the Captain Xavier Chalo dichotomy, check out our podcast with him. He was one of our first guests on the podcast, and we talked explicitly about that quite a bit about like who's Chalo, who's Captain Xavier, and how does Captain Xavier sort of come out of his own personality. Yeah, great guy, just
Great
really
dude.
great.
Love him.
Cool. Heath.
Well, I mean, Zombie Strike, and more specifically, the Sling Fire, obviously. I modified one of those to be able to load the magazine with it, like from the side, kind of top.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was great. I did have a thought on the earlier question about gimmick performance. There is no such thing as gimmick or performance because it's just all in the user. Like, on that note,
Good point.
if this is like an advice thing, you have to make what you enjoy using and what you think is fun, and then find how you can use it because, and like that's, I guess, in tying
It's
to
a
that
form
third
of
question.
play.
Exactly. We should be having fun.
Yeah.
We can have high intensity milsim fun if that's what you want. That's what I like. I love tromping around the woods with blasters.
Shout out
Or
Bucket.
and or you can have, your competitive games where you're, like kind of like speedball airsoft type things and very tournament based. And like I will not touch that. Not my scene at all. But
Well, I think to that effect too. You also kind of have to. You can't look at any release, even like it's very easy to get caught up in like I'm making this one thing. It's my big statement to the world. It's like it's part of a conversation, and you have to be willing, like you're saying with like, what are other people going to do with this now? Let it be your contribution to the conversation and be excited to see where it goes after that.
Yeah.
And then what that inspires you to do next.
I think that's a beautiful way of putting it.
Everything that you make, you're practicing a skill and you're contributing to a conversation, and seeing it that way, I think is much healthier.
I like that. I think that's a lot better than, it's a lot better than the object-based, approach.
Yeah.
The attention is nice, but I make stuff that I want to, and I release it when enough people bully me into it. Smiley, I took a different approach because like it was getting so much interest to the point that like people would ask questions in an unrelated server and someone else would chime in to answer the question, and I'd read it like a day later and I was like, oh, okay, wow, this is a thing. So I, got Hotcoin to do the art and I thought about the release and everything, but everything else I do is because I only release it because someone bugs me into doing it.
Yeah.
I make stuff that makes me happy. I try and, release things fairly regularly, but ultimately it's for me. And if you're making a blaster for not you, then it's just not going to be as fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
People can smell it. They can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it was a labor and not.
That's also why I refuse to make like an actual build guide, because I don't know. I'm not here to please people. I'm here to release cool things. I made something that I like, and I did my best to make it, usable and buildable by other people.
Yeah.
Shout out of Darts for making a build guide for me, so I didn't have to.
I'm on that.
That's great.
Wait.
Like,
Well, speaking of not being here to please people, it's time for our hobby trivia game. So I went ahead and ran the waffle. Mega Man, we must get the energy from Dr. Wiwi. And the winner of the raffle is King Supreme 1. Who I was like, I pulled King Supreme's name and I was like, I swear King Supreme has won this before, and I searched and I searched and I searched and I couldn't find evidence that he did. So King Supreme 1, you have an opportunity if the two of them are able to get 2 out of 3 of our multiple choice questions coming up right now correct. You will have an opportunity to ask a question of Cat's Blaster Mods, our next podcast host, who we are having on because they are a member of the team now. They've been editing a significant portion of the show for a handful of episodes. They're doing an amazing job, and because they're not on screen, I think people don't get it, and so we're going to have them on the podcast and get to just hang out and chat. But you have an opportunity to bother them with some kind of weird question. But like I said, 3 multiple choice questions. If you're able to get 2 out of 3, you will win an opportunity for King Supreme 1 to ask Cats a question. And we're going to play a little game that I'm calling Smiley or Shiny. We'll be talking about some of the foremost emoji of the Blaster world. And I'm being cagey because one of the questions is actually about the name of this thing. So I'm not saying it now. Vile, Grim, you want to start with a question?
Sure. I'll take question 1.
Go for
Released in 2015, the Nerf Rebel Remix line was exclusive in the US and the UK to what retailer? Is it A, Walmart, B, Kmart, or C, Toys R Us?
Oh, Ben's going to kill me. Heath, do you know?
Toys R Us.
You'd be correct. It is C.
All right.
I was definitely going to guess that. Totally.
No, it's just
knew.
like, yeah, I knew as soon as Heath said it, given the time, I was just like, if Heath just immediately calls it, they know.
He just knows it or doesn't know it.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go with the next one, Vile?
Sure. All right. The Rebel Remix line was a set apart by its customizable blaster charms inserted into holes on the side of the blasters. What were those charms called? Was it A, Glitz Bits, B, Blaster Bling, or C, Diva Dots?
My money's going to be on B. Heath, what do you think?
I cut out on C, so I didn't hear what that was.
C was Diva Dots.
Oh, yeah, I don't know this one.
What was A again?
Glitz bits.
Glitz
Spelled with a Z, so like glitz.
I don't think that was it.
Glitz.
I'm gonna go
bits.
B. I'm gonna go B.
I think I'll cut the difference and I'll pick C, I guess.
I think ostensibly you have to agree, but that's fine.
Because you would both unfortunately be incorrect. The answer was A.
I'm so sorry, King Supreme won.
It is glitz bits, but you still have one more chance. You have to get 2 out of 3. But yes, you were both wrong. It was glitz bits.
Incredible.
You don't really see them very often. I've seen only images of these things.
I mean, every now and then you find, if you thrift one of these blasters, they have them still on there. But like, they're absolutely just the thing that is at the bottom of the bin at the thrift store, and they dump it in the garbage. Like, those things are not surviving.
My favorite weird Nerf thing, charms. If anyone's watching this video or listening to this podcast and you're a middling designer and you want to take a crack at something, make charms.
Oh, absolutely.
Make your blaster have a charm mount.
Yes.
I love
we will love you forever.
I bought some charms when I went to Maryland. Actually, when me
great.
and KT were at that mayhem, I got one of the charms.
That's why we need to make sure we include sling points in our designs.
Exactly.
I almost did trivia based on blaster charms for this one, actually, but I decided on this slightly more obscure approach. I love that. Okay. Final question. If you get this one right, King Supreme gets the thing. With all 3 of the remix blasters, the glitz bits were packaged the same way. How were they packaged? Were they packaged A, in a plastic bag, B, on sprue to be broken off by the user, or C, captured in the vacuform clamshell for display on the shelf?
Oh,
Come on, what is it? Oh, man,
Question
KT,
3 is
you are
always the hard one.
savage.
This is exactly what I don't know about. I mean, I'm going to assume vacuum formed to show off, but like, Heath, I could need your input here, man. You got to help me.
I agree.
This
I
is
think
for
they
King
were probably
Supreme 1.
vacuum formed. But I don't know.
So
Vacuum formed?
I just made an edit to the thing because technically you are also correct, but B was also correct. So there's a couple the best kind of correct. So there's a couple different kinds of the glitz bits. The little tiny ones that just look like gems actually came on sprue in the package. There would be like an oval of like if you've ever opened up like old action figures where you had to take the little guns and stuff off the plastic mold, or the Lego flowers where they come on a sprue with like 4 of them attached to the little thing. They came like that.
Oh yeah, like
and
a
you had to
Gundam
like
or something.
you had to like snip them off, and if you were crazy, you had to like file the little things down. The fancier ones, the like dangly ones, which look bizarre to have on the side of your blaster, but okay. It's like all the worst parts of having a blaster charm, where it's like little teeny tiny thing that just like makes noise, but isn't
Just
like look
dingling
cool
on
and,
the
like, swing
side.
around.
Yeah, right on the side too. Yeah.
Those came captured in the vacuform clamshell. So they would have like the vacuform thing, and then they would sit in it, and they'd be visible on the front. Initially, I only had the sprue marked as a correct answer, but when you two were so sure about the vacuform thing, I was like, okay, technically, some of them were.
What
in
I'm
the
hearing is we
vacuform
won.
display.
What I'm hearing is we did great.
You
and
did
So
great.
congratulations,
No notes.
2 out of 3.
Congratulations, King Supreme.
King Supreme won.
Oh,
Hit me
Ben's
up. You got
definitely
a
gonna kill me.
question.
So, AT, I'm also seeing actually that they did some of the on sprue ones inside of vacuform plastic specifically as well. So they were
They
sometimes
did
both.
both.
So what I'm hearing is we're even more right than we were already correct.
I'll send you the
Honestly,
photo.
it's
too.
possible
I'm just hearing
that-
wins. I'm hearing wins left and right here, y'all.
Honestly, it's possible that the sprues were in a plastic bag, so ultimately anything would have been.
It's true.
So true.
This
So
is
it was,
so weird looking at
It
these
was a
though, because
win
I
no matter
forgot.
what.
Yeah, it looks like they're almost like Lego studs that you stick into the side
Yeah.
of the blaster.
Yep.
Oh,
They really
totally.
were.
Yeah, I gotta
A
look
lot
this
of
up.
them
I'm
look
actually not
like
familiar.
newer Lego like finial parts, like the little pyramids and stuff. A lot of them look just like that. There were a couple of dangly ones that are really bizarre that look like. Speaking of emoji, that look like the diamond emoji. They have like a diamond outline. They're like kind of crazy looking. Anyway,
These are just the croc charms. What are those called?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
gibbets.
Yeah, gibbets.
Yeah. My kid just found a
gibbets
Hello Kitty
remixes.
gibbet.
Can
on
someone
the
make a
ground.
gibbets shroud for Smiley?
I mean, that's a great idea. If you printed that out of TPU, it would totally work. You
So
could
true.
totally make a TPU. Someone should just do. Okay, here's a free idea for anyone that wants to do it. Make a TPU printable replacement for the tack rail on any blaster that just lets you put gibbets instead.
Instead of
This is
M-lock,
actually
make
a
it
great
gibbet lock.
idea.
Gibbet lock.
Yes. Actually,
Gibbet lock.
yeah.
No,
And
wait.
then
I
someone
was
can make-
literally picturing
and
that.
then-
You replace
and then
the
someone can
LARPy
make a-
M-lock.
Someone can make a gibbet mountable. Oh wait, isn't there? Okay, wait though. Hold on. Isn't there already? I think Maritime Foam did this because I remember he came up with when the Nerf Crocs came out. He came up with a way to put tactical things on his Crocs, and I'm pretty sure it was a gibbet
Yeah.
to Nerf rail adapter.
That's
I'm
amazing.
fairly confident
That's
that this
amazing.
actually exists.
I have met Maritime Foam. He came to a little weekend event at Chalo's place, and he wore Crocs the whole time.
It sounds like Anthony.
He was not happy at the end. Shout out Maritime Foam, honestly. He's a real one for that.
Hey,
Yeah.
we love Anthony.
Yeah.
He's great. He's one of our people for sure. I'm looking at his Etsy to see, or I guess maybe it would just be like a Thingiverse file. Maybe I definitely remember him. Him having this. And
certainly.
yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I can find it. I'll link it in this thing or whatever. But it was definitely posted on his Instagram or something at some point. So yeah, I do think that exists at least in one direction. But what we're talking about, I guess, is going the other direction. Maybe also have like the rail mountable gibbets thing. Anyway, whatever. Cool.
I think it's doable.
Dope. Hell yeah. Finally, to cap this off, we just want to talk a little bit about the current state of relevant to both of you now, as you know, as blaster designers with files out in the world. Speaking of Etsy, Etsy has been. They changed their policies a while back. This is kind of a continuing running story, and we want to get your take on it. They've been taking down files by blaster designers based on their new rules, which, as we pointed out in our original story, make carve-outs for toys when you're selling physical product, but don't make carve-outs for toys when you're selling 3D printable files. For some bizarre, unexplainable reason, Etsy never replied to us for comment. A handful of creators have said they've had sort of like vague, unspecific communications with Etsy about it. And Heath, you were saying that you actually have had issues with Etsy yourself.
I have. I've had 2 taken down. My autocannon files were taken down. I think the rules specified that cannons weren't allowed, which, I mean, one is just think about selling a cannon on Etsy like a real one. That's kind of funny.
Right. You should be
it's
like,
just the name.
actually, this is an auto first. and a
Yeah,
cannon second.
it's an auto cannon. It's fine. It's not. It's a manual cannon, and it's a Nerf blaster. So I don't know, guys, but I had to relist it, and it hasn't gotten nearly as much traction and traffic as it did because, you know, I don't know how they do that. I'm sure they've like some algorithm stuff going on. And then I also made just a rail accessory, and I don't know, I didn't specify, and that got taken down too. So I've had 2.
You should have made the gibbets rail accessory. And
I
then
know,
I
I
don't think
should
they would have
have.
taken
That
that
would
down.
have gotten taken down.
Yeah.
I have
So-
heard from some other, or I've seen some, like, I think it came up in some of the people I follow on Instagram. One of the designers did get their whole account deleted. They didn't just remove the
That's
post;
wild.
they actually deleted
know
their.
who?
I actually think it was Foam Blasted because they're one of the creators that are now
Oh, right.
on the Blaster downloads page, which actually
Yeah.
is the other thing we were going to talk about because we on this episode, obviously that's a whole new page. I've seen Domo, Lidl, again, Foam Blasted. I think there was another creator that had they had another printed like shell ejecting blaster, and I don't remember the name of the blaster or the designer, but I've seen they have like these animated 3D, you know, GIFs that are on there that are showing the animation of like how the blaster works. So I know there's at least 4 creators already up on that website.
It's it's the same people we were just talking about. It's
Yeah.
Lidl, Foam Blasted, Domachevsky, and then Blasto, who started the website.
Yeah, and so it's Blast. Okay, it was his designs, his original designs. Yeah, because I'm assuming he also got targeted by it on Etsy. I'm not really sure.
Maybe. I mean, my understanding from what he was saying, and he's someone actually that I was thinking we should reach out to about coming on the podcast, because I think. Oh wait, I guess. Okay, it looks like there's a couple more now. That old Nerf guy is on there.
Oh yeah, I did.
Zero Works is on there.
Oh, Zero Works, yeah, the Hammerhead designer.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought their work was cool. I have a not answer to this question, but I hope it's still interesting. I'm definitely very on board with like more ways of cementing the Nerf community. I was never a Nerf Haven user, but it seems like it was very useful for those people. A lot of the most interesting parts of the hobby now happen on Discord. We have a subreddit theoretically, but I don't post here, and I don't post there, and I know many others who don't. I mean, Zero Works, for instance, made one post about the Hammerhead and got permabanned from there and lost all, potential like interest raising they could because of that. Discord is not searchable through search engines, and I would love to see a website that actually archives. I know there was Dart Sweep was one such website, didn't quite take off. So I'm hoping this does too. I really like printables. If someone's looking for an easy alternative to Etsy, that's, I think, probably what I'd recommend. But
a lot of people moved there initially.
Yeah.
And I think that there's still movement in that direction as well. I mean, I think it's good. It's good for people if possible. Like if you have the resources to be in multiple places and pay attention to multiple.
That's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
I really want to see this website succeed because I want more Nerf specific community.
Yes, and business as well.
Yes, 100%.
And Leblasto is respected in the community. There's
totally really creative designer. I really like the designs. Very well done.
He does a lot. He does the bolter, the like auto bolter thing.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Wild. I'm trying to click and load the shop.
I have it pulled up right now.
Remember the name of it.
Everything.
What's it called? Just say the name.
Visit designer shop. It is the Floki. And there's also the Jester, Scully V2, and then a couple different add-ons. So
what do the two of you do? The two of you have plans to shift to a specific platform, or I mean, I guess you're not charging right now for anything, Shrub, but maybe
I don't really intend to. I personally don't like dealing with economics, which is ironic considering I now have a couple, different hardware kit sellers lined up for Smiley. But I would, I feel a little silly for not doing the research beforehand, but can free files be posted there? Because I would certainly be open to it. I really like printables.
From what I understand, it's a 10% fee is charged for files, so I'm not sure if free files might be. I just don't know how that works.
I think you would just need to ask, because I don't know what his sort of like plan or business model is. That's a really interesting question. Maybe if we have him on the podcast, we'll ask. But I'm sure if you email him,
if I could post free files, I certainly would.
Just to continue to have a presence on the website and to like help boost it by having something else there.
Well, yeah, because if you have something that's purchasable and then you have add-ons or whatever little small bits here and there that are free, that's a great it'd be great. And what revenue is generated from the files that are being sold can help with upkeep of the domain and the site and all of that. So
that's the other thing is I don't know what his like data costs are. I mean, obviously right now there's not a ton of bandwidth going through the thing, but I don't know what offering free files would impact, how that would impact his overall bandwidth. But like, it's not like STL files are that big overall. It's not like we're downloading movies
or the far superior step files.
True. Or step files.
Those are even smaller.
Yeah.
Right.
Love a good step file.
Heath, what are your plans?
I need to look into it just because, like, the only reason I'm on Etsy is because I'm selling files, and so I don't have to do any logistics. If I'm selling physical things, I don't want to deal with Etsy because they have they're very heavy on fees and shipping and all of that stuff. I'd rather just like take care of it sort of, I guess, on my own. Etsy's great for just being there, and then people can find it and buy it. But I've been thinking about looking at alternatives. So this is like, a pretty cool alternative to see just emerge right when I'm thinking about it.
Have you considered printables also previously?
I do post my free stuff on printables. I don't know if they have like a paid thing.
They do now. That's been the thing, is a lot of people moved there because they do offer a paid.
That's pretty tempting.
I think Lidl was the first I saw that immediately moved over to printables and then just put up their files for sale over there with like a flat fee, and then Domo followed soon after.
Yeah,
I might take a look at that because I find printables is a very user-friendly website.
Yeah,
search engine wise, it's also pretty friendly.
Yes, yeah.
I
whenever I
the
search
moment
for
it was
something,
live from Thingiverse, and I have not looked back. It's just the best.
The amount of times I have ran into we've searched to the end of the Thingiverse, we can't find the thing, versus printables finding exactly what I'm looking for.
Do not get me started.
So you know what's funny is while I was visiting with Domo, we talked about the Etsy stuff. That came up just in our discussion. We were just chatting with each other. And Domo was like, luckily I haven't been targeted yet. Like I haven't had anything happen. And the day after I left, he DM'd me and said, welp. I got hit. And I can't remember if it was one or a couple, but yeah, it was just in conversation, and sure enough, he got dinged on a couple of his stuff.
He jinxed it.
Yeah, really, we just bringing it up. So yeah, it seems like they are slowly taking down designers and people who have files on there, which is a real shame, because Etsy, the one thing that was nice about Etsy was that it was just such a large platform, and it was kind of like everybody just found everything there, right? Like it becomes that sort of the first hit. If you try to even type in something on Google, it just pops up through Etsy, right? It's one of the better ones for its search engine. But
they've just been around so long. I mean, I told my Etsy story, whatever, an episode or two ago, about selling refurbished rotary phones on there way back when they first started out, and the nature, the culture of the site has shifted so much.
It's a shame where it's kind of gone, because I mean, I remember it was around ages ago, even when I was still very early in the hobby, it was still around, and you had modders posting fully built blasters on there that were painted, integrated, and everything else on there. And then over time, it's, there's more 3D printed stuff, but nowadays, if you're not like a hobbyist or someone who's making genuinely like handcrafted stuff, sometimes you have to question, is this just another drop shipper selling something that looks kind of handmade? Because it's just the engine doesn't even show you what you want anymore. It just shows you your top search result stuff.
There's still beautiful stuff there, but you got to kind of wade through it. I found some pressed flower art that was local to a cousin that I was buying a gift for, and it was
that's lovely,
quite striking.
Because it used to be that you could search the website for stuff like that and discover artists, and it doesn't feel like you can do that now. Like I go to Etsy when I'm going to a specific person's store to get a thing, because they sell their stuff on Etsy. I don't go to Etsy to go shopping generally, like I did when Etsy was much newer. And this is the impact of it on our hobby, I guess. Even before, this feels almost more like a final straw than like just the thing that kicks us off Etsy. Like it was already. I still remember like trying to look at a specific person's blaster store, and it would just show me 50 million other blaster stores, and like you can't always initially tell unless someone has a distinct like photo style or something that you're looking at the wrong one. We just lost Heath.
Looks like he disconnected. Yeah,
you may have. Well, regardless, it's about time, I think, for us to wrap up anyway. I wish Heath was here to plug stuff, but you can probably plug stuff for Heath too. Tell us where people can find Smiley and the rest of your work and whatever else you got going on.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I owe it to Heath to rep him first. Etsy, probably printables pretty soon. Shellington Labs, his stuff's all over. Go bug him about releasing the Renfield Mark III and the Martini Henry. Give him support. just like an incredible dude. Really, there's no one else in the hobby who's been making weird stuff for as long as he has, and you can see just how well it's turned out. Beyond that, I'm on printables. Smiley's my kind of big breakout thing, so to speak. I am selling kits on Silverfox Industries and Out of Darts. I'm not selling kits. They're selling kits for me. I just get paid. I don't have to do a thing for that. Yeah, I think there might be some more licensing deals in the pipeline. We'll see. I'm talking with a couple sources about metal bolt handles because that's what everyone's into. Beyond that, yeah, I'm just I may or may not chime in on different servers and post random stuff, and there might be more releases. We'll see. I kind of just make things. My current fixation is making a 31K hardware kit fit into the relative shape and size of a Zinc. Wish me luck.
Good luck.
Gonna lose my mind, but
Good luck with that.
it might be fun. We'll see.
You're gonna pay your sanity to make cool things.
Exactly. And I'm sure Heath is too. Yeah, keep up with Heath. Watch his stuff. He's cooking. It's kind of like a slowly building cooking. It just gets better and better every year. It's crazy.
It's always neat watching the stuff, like especially those masks that he builds. I've always been so jealous of those. Oh yeah,
the Helldivers stuff that he has is really impressive. Really cool dude. I remember talking with him about, being more of an artist and an engineer a while back, and it was I think it gives him a very good perspective on how to make these things. Yeah, that's kind of it for me. I could yap about myself all day, but I think I'll close out with shout outs. Shout out to the Chasers. I promise that's not what you think it is. Shout out to my partner. Shout out to my parents. Shout out to the lovely Pacific Northwest community, Pacific Northwest Nerf Club. If you are in Washington, Oregon, California, kind of, look us up. We're out here. We're playing games. We're having a good time.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I got to rep Utah for Heath. Big Utah groups out there. They seem pretty cool.
Sweet. Good rep. Excellent. Heath's phone overheated. That's why he dropped the call. But I promised that I would tell the audience that he says bye. And with that, Vile is back to streaming.
Yep, I'll be streaming.
Weekend, yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Getting back into it again.
So we'll have links to all of Shrub stuff, all of Heath stuff, and Vile's stream down in the doodly biddly.
Oh wait, hang on. We got to get the final word from our third guest.
Oh, we really do.
Yeah,
we really do. That's super important. The buddy.
Aww.
All right, Bugs. Do you have anything to say? See, she's so unappreciative. She's just she just laces around. You give her this lovely time to talk and
has nothing to say. Not a
so
peep.
entitled. Kids these days.
Sometimes it's just the presence that's all that's required.
Yeah, right? She's got pretty good presence.
Yes. All right. Well, good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good one.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening, folks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Oh. From left.
That's
fine.
Dad.